Hello and welcome to this special episode of the JATV Show. We will be back in the summer with live shows, podcasts, boxing interviews and a whole load more. However, this is a very special episode following the brutal assault of the Palestinian people and in both Aqsa mosque and in Sheikh Jarrah. Glaswegians came together at very, very short notice to show their support and solidarity. So I will leave you now with a whole selection and highlights from the demonstration. Please check out jatvscotland.com/Free Palestine for more information and upcoming demonstrations.
Glasgow, as we know, has a very proud tradition and a proud history of standing up with the Palestinians, and demonstrations taking place today are just one step in ensuring that Palestinians here at home and those thousands of miles away know that we stand with them. We want to send a very clear message of solidarity with the Palestinian people and against the terror being unleashed on them by the Israeli state. The use of brute force and violent assault on worshippers at the Aqsa mosque is indefensible. The use of rubber bullets and stun grenades on innocent women, men and children by a tanked up Israeli defence force is despicable. The actions taking place over the last few days is, as we know, part of a programme of ethnic cleansing of Palestinians from their home and from their land. Time and time again, Israel breaks international law with the full support of major superpowers across the world who played their role in supporting the weapons used by the Israeli state on the Palestinians. Now, our visibility today on the streets in support of the Palestinians is crucial. Now, we have a number of speakers here today, so I won't take up too much time and I'll introduce each in turn. We've also got a number of statements in solidarity. As you know, everything's a bit last minute today, so a few folk and a few political parties have sent their messages, so we will read out their statements. Just a reminder, folk could continue to just ensure that they are socially distanced. We will be taking as many photos as well, because I think it's really important that if we've gathered here today that we have photos and we're sharing them online so that our sisters and brothers in Palestine can see the people that have turned out today. They know that Glasgow and Scotland stands very much in solidarity with them. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our first speaker. Our first speaker is a leading human rights campaigner. Many of you will know her. Her name's Aqsa. So if I can invite Pinar, please.
Hi everybody, thank you Suki and everyone else for organising today's gathering. It's really important that we gather at events like this, at moments like this, to remember what is happening to people and to remember what has been happening to people since the 90s, 1940s. So what is happening in the neighbourhood of Sheikh Jarrah is part of Israel's attempt to drive Palestinians out of the city of Jerusalem. The Israeli state is providing financial support as well as political and legal cover to racist and right-wing settler organisations that are illegally building Jewish-only settlements on stolen Palestinian land. The violence that we have witnessed at the Al-Aqsa mosque in the past few days has caused outrage across the world. But these scenes, sadly, as I've said, are nothing new. The Palestinians across the country, in Gaza, in the West Bank, in Sheikh Jarrah, are brutalised, beaten and victimised on a daily basis. And this is done systematically. This cruel and inhumane treatment has only been worsened throughout the coronavirus pandemic, as Palestinians continue to live under this occupation. Only 5% of the Palestinian population has been vaccinated. This is nothing short of a medical apartheid. The Israeli government acts with complete impunity, and this must end. We call the government to condemn the actions of the Israeli state, and we call on Israel to stop the violence, end the forced evictions at Sheikh Jarrah, and abide by the international law, and ending all illegal settlements. So what can you do today? There is nearly more than 100 of us today gathered in George Square. Write to your MP. Raise awareness and join movements. Do not stay silent. And remember, violence and brutality by Palestinians has been experienced on a daily basis. Lockdown for us has been lockdown for the Palestinians since the 1940s. Free, free Palestine! 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 Thank you.
Good afternoon, assalamu alaikum everyone. Brothers and sisters, we've stood here before, many times before, because the international community again is turning a blind eye to Israel's violent and deadly repression of the Palestinians. But Scotland will always stand in solidarity with the people of Palestine. We've stood before in solidarity against Israeli oppression, against the apartheid wall, against the theft of land, against the detention and abuse of children, against the illegal settlements, against the forced eviction of Palestinians, against the erasing of Palestinian heritage, and against the closure of Shuhada Street and the apartheid system in Hebron. Today we stand here disgusted by the despicable scenes from Jerusalem over the last 2 weeks. Violent attempts at forced evictions and contravention of international law, with women and children being assaulted. On top of that, the desecration of Islam's third holiest site, the Aqsa mosque, and the holiest of months, Ramadan. Whilst prayers were ongoing, and let's be clear, these aren't clashes in Al-Aqsa, they're a gross state-sponsored violation of the sanctity of a place of worship by one of the world's largest military powers. Today Scotland sends a clear message: hands off Sheikh Jarrah, hands off Silwan, hands off Al-Aqsa, and hands off Jerusalem. East Jerusalem is the capital of Palestine. The world must recognise that and uphold international law. What we've seen in East Jerusalem is the settler colonialist project in ugly full flow, which UN spokesperson Robert Colville said may amount to war crimes. I call upon all governments, if they truly believe in upholding human rights, to condemn these acts of violence and illegal forced displacements and take meaningful action against Israel, including arms embargoes, boycott, divestment and sanctions, and upholding UN Security Council Resolution 2334. And I would finish with the words of Imam Suleiman, who said that our land is our land, our dignity is our dignity, our determination is our determination, our boycott is our boycott, our Aqsa is our Aqsa, our Palestine is our Palestine, and we'll continue to insist on freedom for Palestine, even if the world ceases to acknowledge it. Hands off Sheikh Jarrah, hands off Silwan, hands off Al-Aqsa, hands off Jerusalem.
First of all, we have a statement from the Scottish Green Party. The Scottish Green Party strongly condemns the shocking violence perpetrated by Israeli forces at the Al-Aqsa Mosque in occupied Jerusalem. While attacking a place of worship would be abhorrent at any time, to do so repeatedly during the Muslim holy month of Ramadan is just one more reprehensible low for the Israeli state. Furthermore, the ethnic cleansing of Palestinian families in the Sheikh Jarrah neighbourhood of East Jerusalem by violent settlers assisted by the Israeli security forces is completely unacceptable. The international community must condemn this and put pressure on the Israeli state to cease these actions. We reiterate our party's policy as support for the boycott, divestment and sanctions campaign to try to force the Israeli government to consider the consequences of their actions every time they oppress and brutalise the Palestinian people. We would call on both the Scottish and UK governments as well to use all their political parties to do the same in solidarity from the Scottish Greens. I also have a statement to read out from Nicola Sturgeon, the First Minister. She's sorry she couldn't be here with us today. She says, as the First Minister of Scotland, let me state unequivocally my condemnation of the unacceptable use of force by the Israeli government against the people of Palestine that we have recently witnessed. Scotland prides itself as a beacon of human rights. We expect to not only uphold human rights domestically, but the government I lead will also call out human rights abuses wherever we see them. The people of Sheikh Jarrah and East Jerusalem live under occupation. Their eviction by the Israeli government is utterly unacceptable and a violation of international law. Let the message from Scotland be loud and clear. Scotland stands in solidarity with the people of Sheikh Jarrah against their unlawful eviction. It is a huge honour and privilege for me to represent the most diverse constituency in Scotland. I am lucky to have a vibrant Muslim community in Glasgow Southside and have had the pleasure of visiting many mosques, not just in my constituency, but right across Scotland. I know just how sacred a place our mosques are and just how important the month of Ramadan is for Muslims across the world. Attacking a place of worship is reprehensible at any time. To attack worshippers at the Mosque of Al-Aqsa during Ramadan is utterly indefensible, and I condemn it in the strongest possible terms. With foreign affairs reserved to the UK government, I call on them to unreservedly condemn the unacceptable use of force we are witnessing. The UK government and international community must not remain silent. Any violation of international law must be investigated by the United Nations. Be assured the Scottish Government I lead will continue to stand up for those human rights of those Palestinians across the world. Thank you.
Our next contribution was actually from Denise Christie from the Scottish, she's a Scottish Secretary, of the Fire Brigades Union, but Denise hasn't managed along. She's in a meeting about terms and conditions, so unfortunately she couldn't leave that meeting early, but she has sent a message in solidarity and support. As we know, the FBU play a very big role in supporting the Palestinians, especially in terms of practical solidarity and the work that they do linking with firefighters in Palestine. So I'm just going to read out a short statement from Denise. Sisters and brothers, I send solidarity from the Fire Brigades Union for this important emergency rally to save Sheikh Jarrah. I have said, it has to be said that when you talk to Palestinians, they're quite clear that the biggest disservice that we could do to them is to let their struggle fall off the agenda and be forgotten. So I want to thank the organisers of this emergency rally. The FBU has a proud history of speaking up and supporting our Palestinian comrades. That includes practical solidarity. We have given over many years to train and provide PPE and equipment to the Palestinian firefighters. The people of Palestine have not only suffered in their land being stolen from them, their enforced incarceration, being forced to live under disgraceful apartheid conditions, to live surrounded by an illegal apartheid wall. They also periodically have to try and survive, raise families, earn a living, and have some of a resemblance of community under the blockade. A scenario here couldn't even begin to contemplate. Add to that a massive military assault which does not discriminate between a military target and a general Palestinian population. Not only must this be condemned from a political perspective, but also have to lobby our own government to ensure that it is not only doing all it can to pressure the Israeli government to desist from its atrocities, but also to ensure that no monetary or military support is given to them to oppress the people of Palestine. The conditions that the Palestinians are living under are undeniably those of apartheid, and if we don't take heed of what they say, we should be ashamed of ourselves. The Scottish region of the FBU has had a long history of links with Palestine, and no more so over the last few years, with Palestinian firefighters and emergency service workers and their trade unions. Remember, given any escalation of attacks on the people and workers in Palestine, we must recognise in particular the constant dangers, difficulties faced by the Palestinian emergency service workers on a daily basis as they attempt to rescue sick and dying casualties while under an attack from the Israeli occupation forces. The FBU will continue to have the unapologetic voice of support within our movement and stand in complete solidarity with the campaign to save Sheikh Jarrah. So that's a message of solidarity and support from Denise Christie, who is the Scottish Secretary of the Fire Brigades Union.
Thank you very much, brothers and sisters. It's really a sad day for humanity that we gather here once again and again to condemn the Zionist state of Israel. You know, when we say Zionists, it means they're really Zionist. They're oppressing the Palestinian people since 1947. Imagine, we have a lockdown just for the past 1 year, just 1 year, and we could not tolerate this lockdown just in 1 year. The Palestinians are under a lockdown, and a lockdown means they're not allowed to leave their houses, their homes, they're not allowed to go to their employment, their work, their daily affairs since 1967. And on the top of that, they are bombed 24 hours a day. Their land has been taken away from them. The piece of land which is left, even that has been squeezed by the Zionist state of Israel. Imagine, it's a very holy month, and this is the month of Ramadan. You know, nowhere in the world although we have so many countries like Britain and America and others who do not really care about the Ramadan or holy month or any other month, but what they care is about their oppression, to kill the innocent people of Palestine days and days and days, years and years and months. They are not even allowed to breathe the fresh air in their own land. And who created this problem? It is the British state. It is the current British state which caused the miseries of Palestinians in Palestine and many other parts of the world. Brothers and sisters, today I'm a Palestinian. I'm always a Palestinian, and everyone here in this square is a Palestinian. We stand shoulder to shoulder with our brothers and sisters. We stand shoulder to shoulder with Sheikh Jarrah and many others in the Holy Mosque or in Aqsa, which is very, very sacred for so many religion groups or religious groups. Today we stand here, we condemn the brutality of the Zionist state of Israel, which went and attacked the peaceful worshippers in that holy place. Brothers and sisters, you know, in Britain we do not complain anymore because we have a leader of the British Labour Party who even refused to attend a dinner organized by Palestinian group. We have a prime minister in this country who openly, you know, accuse the Muslim community for the failure of the British state here and abroad. Brothers and sisters, today when you go home, please write to your MP, your MSP, your councillor, that what is happening in Palestine, what is happening in Al-Aqsa Mosque, it is not in our name. And this has to stop, and this has to stop immediately. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Suki. Look, I'm just going to say just a couple of words because the substance of the issue has been covered well by the political representatives and by all of the speakers who have made comments so far. I just really want to make 2 points. The first is that the images and the videos that we've seen from Al-Aqsa, to be honest with you, I never thought we would see that. Inside the mosque, tear gas and bullets. Inside the mosque against women and children and men and worshippers going about their business peacefully, practicing their religion peacefully, and to do this on the eve of Eid as well. I never thought we would see this. So what we have seen, I think, is a new departure in the oppression of the Palestinian people, and it has to be resisted. One way that we can resist it here in Scotland and across the world is to support a campaign of boycott, of divestment and of sanctions on Israel. It tramples not just on the humanity of the Palestinians, but the humanity of all of us, regardless of our background, when we see the kind of scenes that we've seen over recent days. My second and last point is this. That over the last couple of years in this country, there's been an attack on the Palestine solidarity movement. It's absolutely brilliant to see so many people here today, so many people here at short notice, but it's vitally important that we continue to stand up for the rights of Palestinians, stand up against the oppression of Palestinians, and to do so without fear, of being labelled as anti-Semitic or as racist or as any of these kind of labels, because that's what's been happening. We join with all of humanity, regardless of their religion, regardless of their background, whenever we see oppression of any kind. And what's happening in Palestine today should be a marker for everyone across the world to reunite, to re-energise and to rebuild the Palestine solidarity movement right across the world, involving everyone who cares about human rights and everyone who wants to fight back against oppression. Thank you.
Anna Sarwar said, the scenes from Masjid al-Aqsa over the last few days have been devastating. The extreme force deployed by Israeli police, firing rubber-coated bullets and stun grenades towards worshippers, displays a distressing disregard for the sanctity of the holy site and human life. Their actions violated the mosque and have left hundreds injured, but they also violated international law. There is no justification for such action or brutality at any time, but is particularly reprehensible during the holy month of Ramadan. These actions by Israeli security forces are sadly not a one-off, but an escalation of violence towards those who have been protesting the forced evictions plans in East Jerusalem. The violent actions are utterly reprehensible and completely unjustified. Forced evictions in the Sheikh Jarrah and Silwan neighbourhoods would violate international law and cannot be allowed to proceed. There must be international condemnation. We stand shoulder to shoulder with the Palestinian people today. I join with those who are calling for an immediate cessation of violence and for these evictions to be stopped immediately. Israel must respect and uphold its human rights obligation. No nation is exempt from international law. Governments across the UK must be united in our condemnation of this behaviour, as must the entire international community. The Palestinian people continue to be oppressed by the siege of Gaza and the continued settlement growth in the West Bank. Now we see an attack on the holy site of Aqsa. Anyone that believes in humanity, in justice, in fairness and in peace will condemn these actions. But brothers and sisters, condemnation is not enough. Words are not enough. If there is such a thing as the international community, then there must be meaningful action to deliver freedom, justice and peace to the Palestinians. Thank you.
Thanks very much for the invitation to speak, and well done to the organisers for getting this off the ground today, because the urgency of the issue for anyone who's watching the videos is clear. Just a couple of points. The Save Sheikh Jarrah campaign right now represents the latest fight back against the occupation. The neighbourhood itself between East and West Jerusalem is facing eviction at the hands of Israeli settlers who are backed up by Israeli police, soldiers and courts. A ruling was expected today actually, where the Palestinian neighbourhood was expecting an eviction verdict. Of course, we're approaching the 73rd anniversary of the Nakba. And for anyone who knows the history, they'll know that this terror by the settlers is the terror upon which the State of Israel was created. It isn't a new thing, it isn't just a couple of extremists, it's the terror of the Zionist state, and it's always been that way since 1948 to 2021. Israel is a settler, colonial, racist state, and we must hold everybody to that position. And of course, this isn't just a war that's happening so far away from Britain. Not only was Britain the colonial power which paved the way for the robbery of Palestinian land, but still today in Britain we see Palestine solidarity activists being criminalised. In England right now, there's Palestine Action activists facing trial for shutting down Elbit Systems. Some of you might have heard about this. Elbit Systems is an Israeli arms manufacturer. Components for weapons that have been dropped and used in Gaza have been created by Elbit in Britain, England and Scotland. So we say, drop the charges against the Palestine Action activists. We also say freedom for Issam Hajawi, a Palestinian man who's based in Scotland, currently imprisoned in Maghaberry in the occupied north of Ireland for daring to link the Palestinian struggle for freedom with the struggle of the Irish people, still also occupied by British imperialism, a foreign power. Lastly, I'll finish on this. Our campaign starts in Glasgow because our very own council in 2018 adopted the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance definition of anti-Semitism. This is an anti-Semitism definition which conflates Zionism, anti-Zionism with anti-Semitism. Therefore, we are, under this definition, potentially falling foul of that anti-Semitism definition. We must say to the SNP and Labour and the Tories, scrap the IHRA definition, defend the right to defend Palestine. That's what I'll finish on, folks. We've been fighting on the streets for the last couple of years. Scrap IHRA, end the occupation of Palestine. Free, free! Palestine! Free, free! Palestine! Free, free! Palestine! Free, free! Palestine! From the river to the sea!
Palestine will be free!
From the river to the sea!
Palestine will be free!
Victory to the Intifada!
Right, I hope everyone can hear me. I was not planning on coming up here because, you know, that wasn't the plan. The reason why I'm standing here today is because, just like everyone in the crowd, and my voice is shaking because I'm angry, I'm hurt, I'm upset. So if I do cry, just take it in. The reason why I'm standing here is because I want to highlight the power of social media and the amount of young people that we have in the crowd who use all forms of social media platform, such as, yeah, I was going to say it's quite low. Okay. Like this, yeah. So everyone here has Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, and we all use it. And the reason why I want to shout and scream at the top of my lungs is because you do not realise the impact of your voice, no matter how small your platform is. I don't have a big platform, but I will do anything to repost and reshare whatever is happening in Palestine. I'm urging everyone in the crowd, your friends, your brothers, your sisters, your grandparents, to use their voice because the people of Palestine are being shadow banned. There are so many videos that are being blocked online. Facebook is cancelling hashtags so that you can't see anything online because they do not want the mainstream media and people to understand and educate what is happening in Palestine. You need to contact your MPs, and a lot of them you can find templates online. You just fill it out and you just send it to them, and then they'll come back hopefully with a response. This is not new. This has been happening for 70 years, and it happens every single year that we see the same thing happening where Israelis will bombard Al-Aqsa with bombs and grenades, and you've got children and mothers who are screaming. They're just there to pray, okay? What else am I going to say? I'm going to say, yeah, it's our duty. It's our duty to use our social media platform. I want everyone to use it. I mean, I've got so many non-Muslims recently on my platform who have reached out to me because they don't understand what's going on in Palestine, and I've briefly sent them a couple of things to read online. I've sent them posts that they can understand, and slowly people are starting to see what's happening. So yeah, that's all I want to say. I hope we can make a huge difference. I feel like this time it's different. I feel like because mainstream media isn't showing what the true story is, it's so big that there's definitely like a change. I can sense that there's something different in the air, and that if we just can keep pushing the support, we can help the people of Palestine, and hopefully one day the people of Palestine will get their land back. Thank you very much.
Good evening, sisters and brothers. We are gathered here in George Square for the solidarity of Palestine. It's been years and years. We have seen this all terrorism there. So we condemn from our bottom of our heart. I belong to Pakistan. I won't be wrong saying that we Pakistani stand with Palestine. Thank you. We are here for the demonstration for the Palestine. We stand for the Palestine. The children, one thing I would like to say, being a Pakistani, when a child born, so they've been told the issue like Palestine and the Kashmir as well. But because today we are here for Palestine, So I will talk about Palestine. And I would like to request to all my brothers and sisters, please use social media. That's the strongest mean right now. Thank you very much.
I'm here not to give the speech, but to express my solidarity with Palestinian people as a representative of Bangladeshi community. Here we are gathered irrespective of race, religion or ethnic background, but we are here as a human to protest what is happening in the Palestine. It's very appalling and pathetic that it has been brutalized and murdered and tortured, and the appalling videos we are looking at, you can even look at with your open eyes. So people are being run over by the car. People have been people have been cocktail and firebombed and smoke bomb under the Masjid al-Aqsa. So here I am here. We may be a small community to express the solidarity with Palestinian people, but we should remember always that every drop makes the ocean, and we should at least, if we can't do anything, we should at least show our mentally that we are supporting our Palestinian brothers and sisters. We hope to continue this support until the Palestine is free country. I hope that all the words have been spoken. Now we should take action, and we should spread our messages through the social media and friends and families and other ways, and we should mobilize ourselves to pursue the government to be a peaceful solution in Palestine, and Palestinians should have right to stay there, and we, all the Muslim people and Christian people, Jewish people, has right to Masjid al-Aqsa, and international community should protect this right. And I hope that Allah will bless everybody to give solidarity with Palestinian people. Free, 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 free.
White supremacists, apartheid state of Israel, the ethnic cleansers are desecrating the Masjid Aqsa, our holy site. I also want to let everyone know 1/3 of all protesters that you see fighting in Palestine for Palestinian rights are Christian, and they are also dehumanized, skunk water thrown over them, sound grenades. The holy churches are also attacked day after day, day after day. The Israeli Zionists, the white supremacist, ethnic cleansing, terrorist regime attacks Muslims, Christians and Jewish people. Most of the Israeli Zionists are devoid of any religion. They don't have any humanity. How can we have a religion? I'm just going to finish off very quickly because I promised sister I will be very quick, and I just want everyone to get involved in this. Boycott! 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 From the river to the sea! From the river to the sea! From Glasgow to Gaza! Victory to the Intifada! From Glasgow to Gaza! Victory to the Intifada! Thank you.
Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum. I'd like to greet you in this traditional Islamic greeting. Peace be upon us, on all of us. Firstly, we're all appalled with what's happening in Masjid al-Aqsa. I've been to Masjid al-Aqsa, and these people live in an open prison. Life is very difficult for them. Their homes are limited. You will often find 4 or 5 people living in the size of what your bathroom is. And these are the only homes that they have. And the Israeli settlers are illegally occupying it. But we've all got a role to play. Firstly, I want you to share everything you see on social media. You all have a voice. Everything counts. Secondly, get in touch with your elected officials. Put pressure on them. They can't ignore the overwhelming pressure that we will put on them. Thirdly, go and give charity to these to organizations based in Palestine. Fourthly, go and visit Jerusalem. I went there, and the Israelis want to do whatever's in their power to deter you from visiting the Palestinians. But the Palestinians, when they see their brothers and sisters around the world visiting them, they get emboldened. They get fired up. So, fifthly, just pray for them. Make dua, supplication. Nothing is more powerful than God's answer. So, Jazakallah khair, thanks. And finally, we're organizing a big demonstration on Sunday in George Square at 1 o'clock. And we've got many organizations joining us. So do come along on Sunday at 1 o'clock. Thank you.
I did promise that was the last speaker, but I can't say no to someone else who's just indicated that they want to speak. This is the very final speaker today. Our last speaker is perhaps our youngest speaker. I think is our youngest speaker. It's Omar. He's 18 and he's a Palestinian. So please give him a huge welcome.
Hi everyone, my name is Omar. I was born in Jordan to Palestinian parents, and I'm 18 years old and I'm filled with anger. I'm filled with hate. I'm a Palestinian who's never been to Palestine. I'm a Palestinian who grew up every day of their life witnessing Israeli war crimes across my border. I'm someone who is angry at Muslim countries being so hypocritical, such as Jordan, such as Saudi Arabia, the UAE, for supporting Israel because Trump told them so. I'm angry at evangelical Christians in the United States for supporting Israel and for giving them millions of money of both Muslim and American payers from their own tax dollars to support a state that unequivocally commits war crimes and is being investigated right now by the ICC for war crimes against Palestinians in Gaza and in the West Bank. I'm a Palestinian. I'm angry. I'm angry because of British colonialism. It created the state of Israel and deprived me of a homeland. I'm someone who was born in Jordan. From day one, experienced racism. From day one, was subject to hate from the international community. From day one, was censored because of my identity. Please speak to your local MPs. Speak up about this. Free Palestine. Free Palestine. Free Palestine. Free, 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 free Palestine. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. From river to the sea, Palestine will be free. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Free, free Palestine. 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 Free, free Palestine.
So Asif, you spoke earlier on at the demonstration. How important is this that the people of Glasgow came out and show solidarity with the Palestinians just now?
I mean, it's a very, very good that, on a very last-minute notice emergency protest, and you see hundreds of people turn out today to condemn the brutality of the Zionist state of Israel. When we say Zionist state, Zionism is not anti-Semitism, and the state of Israel is trying to scare everybody when you say Zionist. They are Zionists, and they're killing our brothers, our sisters. Imagine in the holy month of Ramadan, and the Zionist state went to a holy mosque, injuring, wounding young women, children, everyone indiscriminately. And this has to stop. This is happening for a very, very long time. But this is about time that the brutality of the Zionist state stop against the poor people and the defenseless people of Palestine, and this has to stop. We appeal to the international community, the United Nations, to impose sanction on the Zionist state of Israel, and we ask everyone here in Britain and Glasgow to write to their MPs, their MSPs, their local representatives, to condemn the brutality of the Zionist state and to stand shoulder to shoulder with the Palestinian people.
So we are coming to the last few days of Ramadan. Eid is going to be later on this week. When you think about what the Palestinians are going through and what sort of Eid they're going to be having compared to what people in the UK are going to be having, what could you do to encourage young Muslims in particular to support the Palestinians?
I mean, the Palestinians don't really have any Eids, and it's not the first time. This is happening since 1948. But what we would like to do is appeal to the young brothers and sisters, to donate money, as one of the speakers said, to different Palestinian groups, where the children can have not a proper Eid, but some sort of Eid where they can have at least, new clothes, new shoes, a toy or something to play with. So that's my appeal to the younger generation here, to donate money. And we can donate £5, £10, and it will not make us poorer. But we hope that the people in this city donate to different groups in Al-Aqsa, in general, in Gaza and other parts of Palestine.
Thank you so much. Jonathan, I heard you speak earlier. How important is today been, especially on short notice?
Yeah, so amazing turnout considering the advertisement was only put out this morning, which just shows you the strength of feeling that people have about events that have unfolded. Well, I think this is obviously just the start of rebuilding the movement for Palestine. I think the events that have taken place, as you say, have made people feel extremely passionately, and rightly so, that not only does there need to be condemnation, but there needs to be reparations around this, and there needs to be an end to the oppression of the Palestinians. This has been going on for way too long, and it's got to end. Enough is enough. And therefore, on that basis, getting involved in these kind of demonstrations are a really important thing. The videos and the pictures that we've taken today will go right around the world. People will see them in Palestine, and they'll know that they are not alone, that they're not being ignored, and that there's lots of people, millions of us, right across the world who will stand in solidarity with the Palestinians.
Do you think over the last year, if you think we've been focused on Corona, Brexit, more domestic matters, that the Palestinian cause has sort of been in the background and we've not seen in the news or not heard? We're hearing it now, but there's obviously the Palestinians suffer this every day.
Well, I think that's true, and I refer to that in my speech because, as you point out, the daily oppression of the Palestinians goes unnoticed by the vast majority of the UK media, by the vast majority of UK politicians. It's been absolutely brilliant to see the SNP, the Labour Party and the Scottish Greens all give statements to this demonstration showing that they're opposed to what's happened in Al-Aqsa and standing in solidarity with the Palestinians. I think that's really important. So we want to build political support, we want to build support from the movement of people that come to demonstrations like this, across faith boundaries, across all kinds of backgrounds. We're coming together in a sense of common humanity in terms of saying this level of oppression has to end, and that the attacks on the Al-Aqsa mosque are completely unacceptable.
So Jerry, the demonstrations just ended. It was an emergency demonstration, so to have hundreds of people turn up at very, very short notice, are you proud of Glaswegians today?
Yeah, I think it absolutely shows that Glasgow people stand in solidarity with people across the world, and they have a long, proud tradition of standing with the Palestinians in particular, and that's just shown today with the amazing turnout at such short notice.
So going forward, there is a number of other demonstrations, but other than protesting, what can people physically do, or what can they get involved in to support and show solidarity with Palestinians?
The first thing I would say, have a look at the Palestine Solidarity Campaign's website. They've got a few e-actions up at the moment, one to lobby the Foreign and Commonwealth Office to try and force the British government to condemn these acts of violence, but also to stop funding the Israeli state in the way that we do, and also to write to your local MP. It's really important, especially during these times, that we have our elected officials raising these issues in Parliament, making sure that people know that the Israeli state is breaking international law. This is not just, a case of they're doing something bad. They are actually breaking international law, and we need to put pressure on our political parties to stand up for the Palestinians, because they have no voice of their own at the moment.
So many young people have been sharing stuff on like Instagram, Snapchat, things like that. But I sometimes feel like they don't have a direction on what to get involved in. Is there any other organisations or organisations like ones that you're part of that could encapsulate that sort of movement?
Well, I mean, I'm a bit biased to say this because I'm a trade union activist, but the first thing I would say is get involved in your trade union. Trade union and worker solidarity across the world is so important for building those links of solidarity. Workers in Palestine face some of the issues that we face here as well, but on a massive scale. The trade unions also have some of the cash and some of the knowledge and the campaigning know-how to actually get these things on the agenda here and actually show some practical solidarity with the people of Palestine, like the statement from Denise Christie from the FBU today showed. They have some practical solidarity with Palestine when they've been over to meet Palestinian firefighters and see what they do on a day-to-day basis. So I'd say to every young person, get involved in your trade union. If you don't have a trade union in your workplace, organise a trade union in your workplace, go to the TUC website, find out which trade union can represent you and show solidarity with Palestinians in any way that you can.